And welcome back to Hero Power, episode 34. And as always, I am your host, Avantes, and I am joined by my co-host, Zerocio.
What is up, gang?
And Blursika.
Hey, now you see me. Now you
Don't.
see me.
Now you, like you said pre-show, now you look like an impressionist painting. Oh,
Yep.
Wait, coming back. Okay. Anyway, we have a special guest on the show with us tonight. We are joined by Knoxville native Nibbleswap. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
We are glad you were able to join us.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit of your background in how you got into Hearthstone?
Well, I started in beta. First came out, spent a lot of money up front on the game to get all the good cards, and then I took like a 7-month break. But then I came back and been playing semi-casually ever since. I usually get to rank 3 to 5 or so, but turns out having a wife and a baby does not allow you much time to play and try to get the legend grind. So I play pretty casually now. Yeah, that's about
Yeah.
it.
Well, you were able to join us almost 2 Saturdays ago now for the first Summer Tavern Hero qualifier here in Knoxville.
Yep.
And you qualified. Well, you didn't qualify, but you finished fifth place overall,
Yeah.
which was really good.
Oh yeah,
There was some really good competition, and you really kind of intrigued Versika, which is one of the part of the reasons why we have you on tonight is because he was really all he talked about Saturday was your warrior deck, which we're going to talk about a little later in the show.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come up with the lineup you came up with for the qualifier a couple weeks ago?
Well, it turned out not to be a very great strategy because I went there to win and got fifth. So, what my thought was to build basically the strongest lineup possible. I made it vulnerable to Shaman with the strategy to ban Shaman. So the format was best of 5 with a ban. So everybody brought 4 decks. So my thought was to ban Shaman. My flaw, my plan was I brought Shaman and others brought decks that completely countered Shaman. So that's kind of what knocked me out. But I'm revamping my strategy for this weekend. I'm not going to give out any of my new tricks and tips, but maybe on Sunday. But
Okay.
we'll see how it goes.
All right.
Well, you certainly didn't lose because of your warrior deck.
No, I lost for my Shaman decks.
The warrior deck was it was really neat. Yeah, I'm not gonna say I don't get beat often because it's Hearthstone. I have somewhere in the 60s, high 60, early 70 win percentage. So it's not like I don't ever get beaten, but I had no clue what you were doing with that deck. You took me off guard with a couple of your plays, and so I guess the point I'm trying to make is it's hard to surprise me now.
Yeah, it was funny.
It caught me off guard.
There was a conversation. I don't remember who was having it. I think it was one of the guys that was there, Neonic, and someone else. They were talking about how there's so many variants for warrior now, whether it's patron warrior or control warrior, with Elise, without Elise. There's pirate warrior. There's tempo warrior, and he named all those. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, you didn't say dragon warrior. So yeah, I think I took a couple of people off guard.
Yeah. So before we really get into the show here, Versika, why don't you tell us a little bit about our partners over at Viforce?
All right, so we've talked a lot about Viforce's gaming machines, and they have great gaming machines. If you haven't checked them out, you should go to HeroPowerHS.com, click on the Viforce link, go check out their gaming rigs. But one of the things that I feel like we probably haven't talked about enough is ViForce actually does pro gaming sponsorships. So whether you're solo, whether you have a small group, or whether you have a large group, chances are ViForce has something that fits what you're looking for. So go to their website, ViForceGaming.com, and click on the community page, and that will take you down. You'll have a list on the left. Go to competitive gaming and sponsorships, and from there you can watch a short intro video about what they're looking for and the sponsorships they offer. And we'll talk more about this as we transition over from audio to video.
Yeah. All right, guys. So this week we have a new patron. You know, we always try to shout out our patrons on the show because we appreciate all of our patrons so much. They, you know, kind of help the show to they grease the squeaky wheel, if you will, you know. So our newest patron just so happens to be Nibble Swap. And so, sir, we very much appreciate you backing us and helping us to continue doing what we love doing, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to bring you guys new content. So
Yeah, no problem. Happy to help any way I can.
yeah. So all right, guys, we had no emails or iTunes reviews. So guys,
Come on. Bring them iTunes reviews in. We need those iTunes.
Zeroshio actually doesn't eat food. He lives on iTunes reviews.
That's right.
So
I'm wasting away.
you guys don't write iTunes reviews, he's eventually going to get thin, and then
I
nobody
had
will
to eat
recognize
my
him.
beard. Okay? Beard is gone because there's no iTunes reviews.
So go to iTunes, leave us a review. If you have any questions, feel free to send us an email. We love to hear from you guys. All right, let's jump right into the news this week. There's not a lot of it, but we want to touch on it. This weekend is the America's Championships for the spring season. So we know from, you know, past episodes, that means we're going to get to see Sidonia, Dear Jason, Napoleon, Bradford Lee, Rosty, Dwayne, PNC, and Joster compete for that coveted spot at BlizzCon.
Root for Joster.
So we got to actually see the deck lists come out today, and there's some interesting trends, and I wanted to kind of touch on these.
And before we go too much into it, the format, if you haven't been paying attention, is that they've been releasing the decks usually a couple days prior, so all the players can actually decide what they want to ban and play it and prepare for it. So us having knowledge of the deck is actually a new format they've been using, and the players seem to really like it because it allows them to feel more prepared going in. Now, the caveat of that is they're not allowed to have pen and paper at their stations. So they have to do all of their stuff. They get about 5 minutes before the match to look at the decks again, and then everything has to be off memory.
Yeah. So, with that said, some of the big takeaways from the deck release is that all 8 players are bringing Warrior and Shaman.
Wow.
All 8 of them are bringing those 2 classes.
You know, that's not a far stretch from what it was with the prelims to begin with. I want to say when I counted it up, only 6 people didn't bring Warrior. And I want to say it was a very similar number for Shaman. None of the top 16, I don't think either of the top 16 did not have a Warrior deck.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Shaman, but I think all 16 of the top 16 had Warrior decks.
Yeah, I believe you're correct. 7 out of 8 players are bringing both Warlock and Hunter. So that's 7 out of 8 are bringing Warlock and Hunter. 8 out of 8 are bringing Shaman and Warrior. So what does that leave? That leaves
Rogue.
That leaves 3 Rogue decks, 4 Druid decks, and 3 Mage decks. So what did we not mention?
The big P's.
The big P's.
No
Priest and
PP.
Paladin.
No priest, no paladin.
There will be no peas in this pool. So there are no priests and no
pee in the
paladins
pool.
in this tournament.
See,
Now,
it doesn't surprise me about the priests, and we'll talk about that more here in a little bit. But
Yeah.
it really does surprise me that we didn't see at least one paladin deck, because there are two really strong variants currently out there. You've got that Divine Shield, sort of aggro, mid-rangey paladin, and then you've got the N'Zoth Control Paladin. Both of those are very strong decks, and they pair very well against the mid-range hunter, and I feel like they pair very well against the Warlock Zoo. So I'm really surprised that no one brought this as a counter.
Well, Paladin's in a rough spot right now. A lot of your popular decks in the meta usually have low attack but high health, so they're hard to kill, especially with the Paladin minions, as well as a lot of ping damage going on throughout, with Rogue and Mage being able to ping pretty easily, including some of the Warlock variants. And Swipe is also a good tool against Paladin. So it makes it really hard to make a tournament viable Paladin deck that people aren't just going to go, well, these are the targets that we have to kill, and then we just deal with the dudes the rest of the match and we win. So it's really hard to now on the ladder. Paladin's not too bad because you have that unpredictability, but with this new format of knowing the decks, it's just too easy to prepare for Paladin.
yeah, and like you said, I think outside of those two Paladin decks that you mentioned, we've talked in the last couple of weeks about the possible reemergence of Secret Paladin, and we actually got to see a Secret Paladin this weekend in a tournament that I played in and lost.
Amazed. I was amazed by that Secret Paladin.
Yeah, so guys, if you think Secret Paladin is gone in Standard, just be patient. I guarantee you, people are just rediscovering that it's still around.
Yeah, it utilizes the shields a little bit more, the Divine Shields, and protecting your minions a little bit more to have some stability on the board, to then utilize those secrets and, of course, Mysterious Challenges.
Yeah. So I finished second in that tournament this weekend, because I lost to Secret Paladin, and it's one of those things that I'm telling you, it's going to surprise some people. So Nibble Swap, what are your thoughts on no priest, no paladin?
Well, no paladin is it's interesting. When the new set came out, one of the very first popular decks that everyone was like, this is so overpowered, it's crazy, was N'Zoth Paladin. But again, once it came out, most of the decks people were using were control-based decks, and N'Zoth Paladin is just really great against control-based decks. However, as time went on and people realized that Zoo is actually really, really good with the Councilman, and Shaman came back out and was really strong without Crackle, but with Thing from Below and all these swarmy decks that could kill you pretty quickly. N'Zoth Paladin has kind of faded away. And when you look at the classes that are being brought to the Americas Championship this weekend, you hit on it. There's a ton of Warlock, a lot of those are Zoo, and everybody's bringing Shaman. So Paladin doesn't really line up too well. And as you mentioned earlier, and then the Secret Paladin, it could be a good ladder deck, but it's just as far as tournament, I think it'd be super inconsistent. It'd be really hard to rely on that, for your tournament life. And as far as Priest, I think you said we're going to hit on it later, but Priest is just really bad right now.
Yeah. In fact, let's go ahead and kind of talk about that. So Priest is still technically considered the bottom of most power ratings. Nibble, what do you think's holding it back?
I think there's a couple things. I think for one, you know, when Standard came out, they lost Light Bomb, which is huge. They really don't have a great way to board clear now without Akanai's Circle, and in order to get to that combo, you have to have that combo by turn 4, which means you either have to draw into it or you have to mulligan for it. And if you mulligan for it, then you're losing the potential to lose your, you know, your 1 and 2 drops early on to hopefully get some board. Priest was pretty decent before Standard. Entomb was everywhere. You know, but if you look at it now, Entomb is actually, you know, it's a 6 mana card, and you compare it to, say, Rogue, who has basically a very similar effect for 2 mana with Sap. Priest just always seems to fall behind, and without Light Bomb, it just has no comeback mechanics. It's really hard as a Priest. You just don't have that great of class cards as you do as other classes. You really just have reactive cards, and you know, the cards that do really well for you, you draw them so late that you're so far behind they don't really matter. You know, Mind Control when Hearthstone first came out was insane. Yeah, you know, cards like that, they just cost too much, and by the time you get to that turn, you're dead.
Gotcha. So. Okay. Zerotia, what are your thoughts on Priest?
I love Priest. For those that know, I do have a Golden Priest, and getting a Golden Priest takes a long time. There's not a fast Priest deck. All Priest decks are slow. You pretty much, if you see a Priest, you know it's some form of control. There isn't really even a tempo or mid-range Priest, so it's pretty much the only class that has only one archetype that's viable right now. Now, there have been people that try to make aggro priests. There have been people that try to make more of a tempo-based priest. It just doesn't work out because your big hitters in that class, those class cards, are, you know, your 7+ mana cost cards. So it's too slow and it's too easy to target in tournaments. That's why it doesn't work on the ladder and it doesn't work in tournaments. I want it to. I have lots of great ideas, but when I actually try to implement them, they just don't work.
Gotcha. Versika?
Well, I agree with Nibble Swap. The loss of Light Bomb was huge, mostly because even though the meta is still in a relatively stable state of flux, and I know that sounds kind of bizarre, but the only thing that really isn't changing about this meta is that it's changing. But one of the things that has been sort of the, I guess, center of this meta is that now instead of direct threats from one or two minions or kind of setting up a combo kill late, it's now most decks have diversified and they're presenting many threats from many different angles on many different turns. So without a viable board clear outside of Holy Nova and Excavated Evil, Priest struggles to keep up. And like Zerotia said, most of their minions, when it comes to strictly vanilla stats, which is your attack and your toughness, you pay more for those basic stats with Priest than you do any other class. Also consider that the Priest hero power is the only hero power that is virtually useless for the first 3 or 4 turns. The only, really, and this hurts me to say this, but the only hero power more inept than Priest pre-turn 5 is probably Shamans. All the other classes have something that generates an immediate, impactful change on the game, except for Shaman and Priest, and Priest being the bottom of that. Even changing it over to do damage via the Shadow Priest card or with the Akanai Soul Priest, you're putting so many resources into just getting what a hunter already has for the most part, except for using it for that valuable targeted minion clear. But
at that point, what the most you're still going to do is 3, unless you throw out the Justicar. And then you get to do 4 as long as Akana is in game. If a priest can make it to turn 11 or 12, then they're usually in a pretty good spot. But I think with Zoo, well, one of the other things that you're seeing with this new deck list is that you're seeing more aggressive decks. So there's that pendulum swing that we talked about when Whispers first came out. We said that it was going to be control heavy, the pendulum would swing, and that it would end up being, they would find a way to make aggressive works, and then you're going to see that pendulum swing back. Right now, I think we're in the middle of that aggressive pendulum swing, and I think, cards that control the board state are king, and so cards that don't control the board state, or classes that don't allow you to control the board state, are going to suffer. So that's why right now you're seeing Shaman, Mage, you're seeing them at the top of the list because they have all the board clears. A little bit further down the list is Hunter, but I mean, Explosive Trap has never been more powerful than it is right now. I mean, Explosive Trap almost single-handedly destroys a Zoo deck if you play it at the right time. And that's just the kind of things, that's 2 mana for the same thing that you're having to pay 5 with the Priest. It's just, it's not viable. So until they decide to give Priest, if they want Priest to be controlled, they have to give Priest the tools to manage the board. And until they do that, it'll be a controlled deck without the means to properly control. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Very true.
I agree. Very, very good. All right. So, when do we think Priest will be back as a viable, not at the bottom? Do we think it's going to require a new adventure or a new expansion to get to that point, Versika?
I think Priest really needs 3 things to even put it up into the middle of the pack. The first thing it needs is a legendary that is actually useful. And when I say this, you look at the Priest legendaries compared to the other classes, and it's by far they have the most targeted and easily managed legendaries of the bunch. Number 2, they need something to manage the board state. Now, whether that's something like a class-specific abomination that maybe does 3 damage, a taunt with something along the lines of a abomination, or I'm trying to think of the card. I can't. Chill Maul. Something along those lines. Yeah. Something that will allow them to do that. In fact, I would have loved to have seen the Mage's current legendary show up in Priest. That would have been a great Priest legendary. Something to kind of play off that light spawn, but still have that more clear. And then the third thing that I think they need to do is I think they need to take a serious look at the Priest hero power and maybe build in a well. Or like in WoW they had a Holy Shield. If you allowed the Priest to spend that 2 mana on turn 2 and to build like a shield that would absorb 2 mana and make it cap at 10 or whatever, but at least make the hero power viable when it really matters. When you can use it to kind of help you get to the late game. Because by the time it becomes useful, you're already spending all your mana to cast your overcosted minions anyway.
Right. Zero, Yellow Dart in chat said they're being priests are being punished for all the stealing they've been doing all this time.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to bring up. And good call out there, Yellow Dart. Yellow Dart's a good buddy. He's always on Hearthstone with me, rooting me on whenever I'm in arena, getting 12 wins. Anyways, the most viable priest decks out there that I've seen involve taking their opponent's resources and using it against them. The problem with that is you have to know exactly what to target, because if you don't, then you're going to target something early and then find out that that's not their win condition. You almost have to know your opponent's win condition to make that type of deck viable. And the other one Versika brought up involves Chill Maul. It's Dragon Priest. Dragon Priest does pretty good. It's not really tournament viable because, again, you know what to target and take the threats out, and then at that point, all Priest is reactive. The biggest thing about Priest is it's reactive. Even its legendaries have been reactive. Even one of the, in my opinion, strongest Priest legendaries, Vol'jin, was a reactive legendary. You had to have an opponent put out a minion that had a large enough health for Vol'jin to be viable to put out. Because it's so reactive, you always seem to be playing from behind, even when you're ahead. You can be at full health and you still are playing from behind because you never get tempo on the board because you're waiting on your opponent to put something out so you can react to it. And at that point, it just comes down to card advantage and getting to fatigue. And that's not a way to win consistently. It really just isn't.
Yeah.
At least not in this meta.
No.
Yeah. All right, guys. We are quickly approaching the end of the month. I think we have 9 days left or something, like 8 days left, something like that.
Where's everybody at?
Rank 15 currently.
Honestly, I don't even know. I think I'm 13 or 12.
Where you at, Nibble?
I think I'm at 10.
Okay, I pulled up to 8
Okay.
this week. I found me an opening and pulled up to 8, and it's kind of stalled out there. Then I played some arena. Went 12 wins. You can read about it on a blog I post on heropowerhs.com. And that's pretty much what I've done this week. But speaking of blog posts,
Yeah. So that's kind of what we were leading up to. So Versika wrote a really good article a month or two back on our website called "Know When to Hold 'Em, Know When to Fold 'Em." And Versika, why don't you give us let our listeners give them a little bit about a synopsis on what that all entails.
Well, that article was written sort of like a last day of the month ladder push guide, and it talks about the four main what I call win conditions, and that's knowing when to change your deck because the meta has changed, know when to stick with your deck, know when to just make alterations to your deck, but stick with it because you have either bad matchups or you've got a string of bad draws, or let's say that your deck has an 80% win percentage when you have the coin and you've not gotten the coin for 6 games straight. Those types of things can play in, especially when you get up into the higher ranks where win streaks start to go away, especially above rank 5. So you factor in everything as far as like how to play the game, but then the sort of what I call the last win condition, that's the knowing when to fold them. You have to understand when the meta shifts away from you, and know when it is a permanent or not a semi-permanent meta shift, or when it's just a meta shift for that day. Because the meta will shift over the course of a ladder season, but it can also shift from day to day, and sometimes it will shift away from the deck that you're playing just to return back to where it was a day or two later. So knowing when to go ahead and bow out and not take those 8 or 9 or 10 losses, and then knowing when is the proper time to push through. And yes, you've taken 4 or 5 losses, but it's because you've drawn these 2 decks for the last 5 times, and it's not going to be something that you're experiencing for the rest of the evening. So it's kind of watching the change in the meta, knowing your deck, knowing what it's good against, knowing what it's bad against, knowing its vulnerabilities, knowing its strengths. And this kind of all boils around picking that one deck, maybe 2 decks to make your ladder climb with. You have to know that deck in and out. So one of the things that we encourage people not to do is what I tend to do, and that is to do your daily quest on the ladder and switch in between decks. Like I will play anywhere from 12 to 14 decks a week. If you're wanting to make a serious ladder climb, those decks need to really go down to 1 or 2.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say 2 is maximum. Wouldn't you say Nibble Swap?
Yeah, I would 2 or 3. I would say 3's maximum. You could do 2, but yeah, if you're really serious about climbing, which I haven't been for a while, but I would say take 2 or 3 top tier decks that counter each other and run those. And I definitely recommend keeping track of your stats. If you use like a deck tracker or something that keeps track of your stats, and after you play a few games, if you lose a couple games, look at your recent history and see what you've been playing against, and then adjust accordingly. Sometimes that works. Sometimes I switch and then I face, the new counter, and that's when I close Hearthstone and play Overwatch. So
And, I mean, if you're like me, then you're playing as much Overwatch as you're playing Hearthstone, and Heroes had just made a balance patch, and I'm this is too many games. And
Yeah.
then LOTI was they were doing their 24-hour stream over the weekend for their
So much fun.
fundraiser for BlizzCon, and they decided they were going to run Karazhan and WoW. So now I'm playing WoW and Diablo 3 and Heroes and Hearthstone and Overwatch, and it's just like, oh my gosh. But seriously, if you're going to make that run, if you really want to push for rank, pick 2 decks. And if you don't know what 2 decks to pick right now, based on what I'm seeing on the ladder, I would run an aggro deck. I'd run Aggro Shaman. They're quick games. And then when you run into a part of the ladder that's countering Aggro Shaman, I would switch to mid-range Hunter. That's still a fairly fast-paced deck, and there's really not a lot out there that is just straight up counter to it. It's not great against any one deck, and it's not bad against any one deck. So it's a great way to kind of bridge what I would call a sub-meta, and that's 2 or 3 ranks where they're targeting the deck you're choosing, and then I would switch back to Aggro Shaman and continue that push
Yeah.
up the. And that's if you're just going for rank. If you're going for total fun, right now is a great time to bring out some crazy stuff, because if you're mid range on the ladder and you're bringing, they're expecting these top tier net decks, and you bring something like Nibble Swap's Warrior deck and just put it in there, it's just gonna you may not win as much, but you're gonna have a lot of fun, because you can watch the person on the other side mouse over your stuff and look at their cards and mouse over your stuff and look over their cards, and you've thrown them a curveball and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. So if you guys want to read this article, you can go to our website. It's heropowerhs.com. Scroll down just a little bit, and right underneath the Viforce Gaming logo, you'll see categories. Click on blog, and that will filter out only the blog posts. And if you go to page 3, Know When to Hold 'em, Know When to Fold 'em will be the top article on the page. But feel free to read through. Versika has written some really great articles besides this one that have some really great talking points. Just feel free to peruse through the site and give them a once over. And if you agree with what he says, if you don't agree with what he says, feel free to leave a comment, and we'll get back with you on that, because like we said at the beginning of the show, we love to interact with you guys. So.
Yeah, actually, I'm in the process of writing 2 more blog posts, and they'll be up sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome.
They're long ones, though,
Awesome.
so it
All
takes some
right.
time.
So that brings us to this week's Tavern Brawl. And this week's Tavern Brawl is interesting. It's called
Yes.
Pick a Hand, Any Hand. And you pick 7 cards to be in your deck, and then they fill the rest of the deck with unstable portals. So you get 7 cards, 23 unstable portals. And the way it works is your opening hand will be either 3 or 4, depending on whether you go first, of the 7 cards you chose. If you don't like them, you can throw them back and get another mix of the 7 cards you chose. And then right after, once you have the hand you want, then you start drawing unstable portals. So, Zeroshio, have you gotten to do this yet?
Yes. and I knew everybody was going to go mage, and they were going to go tempo mage and fill up with flame wakers, and so I had to go through the wade of tempo mages, and I did pretty good against them. I played this about 10 times today, and I went Astral Communion Druid. Basically, what my goal was is to guarantee I have a turn 1 or turn 2 Astral Communion, and now I'm at 10 mana. Whatever I get out of my unstable portal every turn, I'm guaranteed to be able to play. Where my opponent might unstable portal and they can't play their minion because it's costed too high. So there's some RNG involved. If I get low cost minions out of my unstable portal, then the Astral Communion was for naught. And if they get to turn 10 before I can actually get tempo on the board, then I might as well just concede. But it was a lot of fun. I liked it. I put 1 Astral Communion, 2 Innervates, 2 Wild Growths, and 2 Swipes. And the Swipes were there to get rid of the Flame Wakers, pretty much.
Gotcha. Okay. Rasika, have you gotten to play it?
Yeah, I played 15 games.
Wow.
Nice.
Yep, I did 5 as a paladin, 5 as a druid, 5 as a shaman.
And
Cool.
what
I
were your-
lost.
what were
I
your
lost
thoughts?
4. I'm
Okay.
11-4.
Good
I didn't lose any with the druid. I also went druid. I went with 2 innervates, 2 of the ancients, the 1 casting cost that
Oh,
forbidden
okay.
ancient. And then I went Adel Grizzly,
Mhm.
and I went back and forth between Swipe and I don't even remember what I put in that last game.
Okay.
Anyways,
I was
So-
using Mire Keepers until I realized the Swipes were better.
yeah, I ran Swap most of the time. The last game I threw something else in just for fun, and it actually ended up working too. But yeah, so pretty much the goal was to get Adel Grizzly on the board first turn, and then the next turn use another Innervate, Forlorn Ancient. It ends up being a 5/5, and usually that 5/5 early they have a hard time dealing with. And while they're dealing with it and spending resources on it, I'm cycling through the unstable portals, and I've got a Swipe there to deal with anything that comes out that's just a little too much.
Okay.
But yeah, I had fun. With Shaman, I used 2 Elemental Destructions. Haziel the Ascended, and 2 of the Fire Elementals.
Okay.
And I lost 1 with that. And then with Paladin, I went Wild Pyromancer, Equality combo, Tyrion, and Consecration.
Nice. Nibble Swap, did you get a chance to play it?
I got a chance to play 1 game after work today. Not gonna lie, I just net decked because I was just done working and my brain was fried. So I just took 1 off Hearthpone. It's just tempo mage, and ironically, actually faced a Astral Communion Druid. So it's 1 Mana Worm, 2 Sorcerer's Apprentice, 2 Flame Waker, 1 Polymorph to deal with the first big minion, and then to take the fun out of it for my opponent, I put in a Lotheb. So it worked. I mean, I only played 1 game and I won, so it's undefeated.
Nice.
I will say one really neat game I had is I had Astral Communion, 2 Innervates, and I think a Wild Growth, and a coin. And I drew into Unstable Portal. So I was like, well, I'll coin the Unstable Portal, see if I get anything I can drop with the Innervates that's worthwhile. If not, I'll go ahead and Astral Communion. And so I coin, I get Mogre the Ogre. And double Innervate. No, it wasn't Mogre the Ogre. It was it was Mogre the Ogre. With the reduced cost, I was able to cast him out in turn 1, and they conceded instantly.
Nice. So I also was that guy that played Tempo Mage. I went 1 Mirror Image, 2 Mana Worms, 1 Sorcerer's Apprentice, 2 Flame Wakers, and Yogg Saron. Because you have to.
Nice. Did you get
Yeah,
to play
if your
Yogg?
game, did you get to play?
No. No, my game was over by like turn 6.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, if you get to play him, you certainly have a lot of spells at the end.
yeah. In fact, one of our patrons, Ringo, he posted on Facebook earlier that, you know, if you were not playing Yogg Saron in this Tavern Brawl, you were doing it wrong.
That's funny.
So, all right, guys. Well, that brings us to this week's deck, and as we mentioned at the top of the show, we are talking about Nibble Swap's Dragon Warrior deck that he brought to the Tavern Hero qualifier.
Can we call it Nibbler Dragon Warrior?
I see what you did there. So yeah. So this is the deck that Rasika was talking about being completely shocked and stunned by, and it's a little a little on the expensive side. There's a lot of legendaries in this
stars.
deck.
It's
see
a little
constellations.
expensive.
Yeah.
I think I see the
It's-
Big Dipper there.
So
Yeah, it's
Orion's
about. It is not a deck for the new player. It is about 15,000 dust to craft everything. So.
yeah. So this deck consists of 2 Executes, 2 Shield Slams, 2 Fiery War Axe, 2 Revenge, 1 Slam, 2 Alex Strauss's Champion, 2 Bash, 2 Shield Block, 2 Twilight Guardians, 2 Brawl, 2 Azure Drake, 2 Blackwing Corruptor, and now we begin the list of legendaries. Karen Bloodhoof, Justicar Trueheart, Sylvanas Windrunner, Chillmaw, Gromosh, Ysera, and to top it all off, you threw in a N'Zoth.
Yep.
Why don't you
There's-
tell us a little bit about how you came up
Hold
with
on.
this?
Hold
Oh,
on.
wait.
There's so much sugar in this deck. I feel like I'm about to get diabetes. Okay, hold on. All right, I'm good.
All right, tell us how you came up with this deck, Nibble.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Most of it came from it was a version that Pavel was running, one of a pro. Basically, the thought is it's really good against aggro shaman, and it's really good against zoo. So I expected to see both at the tournament.
Yeah.
And my other decks I was running were Warlock, Shaman, and Hunter. So thought was most people are probably going to ban either Warlock or Shaman. Warlock because you don't know if it's Zoo or Reno Lock, and both are really good. And then Shaman because Shaman. So I figured Warrior would get passed over. So this is my plan to farm out the aggro decks. It's also really good against. It's usually really good against other control decks. The reason being, while it doesn't run Elise, which a lot of control warriors do for the late game, the N'Zoth basically overwhelms Elise. So the idea of the deck is, wait until you play your death rattles. While there's only a couple of them, they're really strong. And after your opponent, if you face a control warrior, plays Elise, then you can drop the N'Zoth and they can't remove anything.
Yeah, so those death rattles you're talking about are Cairn, Sylvanas, and Chillmaw.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so you could really do some damage with just those 3, especially since you have other dragons in the deck to activate Chillmaw.
Yeah. It does rely on, you need to have some of the synergies in your hand. So there's not a whole lot of dragons in here. So you saw there's 2 Alex Strauss's champions. If you have a dragon in your deck, it's one of the best 2-drops in the entire game because it's a 3/3 with charge. If you don't have a dragon, it's still a 2/3, which is pretty decent. But yeah, you do have to have the dragons in your deck to get the synergies to work really well.
Yeah, yeah. So early game is really all about controlling the board, right?
Yeah, basically. Just like most any other warrior deck, you want to get your Fiery War Axe out, um, and just kind of control the board from there. You hope to get your Twilight Guardian, especially if you have another dragon in your hand. That stops a lot of things. You have if the board gets out of control really quickly, you can use your revenge to do 1 damage to all enemies, 3 damage if you're below 12 health, 12 health or below. So yeah, early game is just controlling the board. And if you're sitting on turn 6 and you have the board controlled and you have a decent health amount, you basically can't lose.
Okay. Okay, well, I know I'm excited to see this deck. Versika, did you have any thoughts you wanted to ask Nibble about before we...
No, just one of the things that he did really well when playing the deck was he hid the fact that it was running N'Zoth. So I didn't see Cairn. I saw Sylvanas, I saw Chillmaw. When he hit me with the Alexstrasza's champion, I was expecting Alexstrasza to be at the end because most warriors that run dragons use that as a combo with Grommash. So I was expecting the Grommash and actually had Grommash. I was actually ready for Grommash. And then Ysera hit the board. And that kind of took me off guard.
Yeah.
So I did manage to deal with her, and then that next turn, N'Zoth hit, and I'd already taken care of Sylvanas, I'd already taken care of Chillmaw, I'd already taken care of Grommash, I'd already taken care of Ysera, both of the Blackwing Corruptors, and the 2 Twilight Guardians. So by this time, I am completely and totally out of removal. N'Zoth hit the board, and there was nothing that I could do. I mean, he had just exhausted my deck of resources, and from there, it was 2 turns later, I was dead.
Yeah. So the dream, pun intended, with this deck is play as Sarah, you get a dream card, and then when you play your N'Zoth, you dream it back to your hand, and then you do it again the next turn.
Oh, that's just sick.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's pretty disgusting, and it happens more often than you would think. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can make it happen tonight.
Okay, well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited and I'm ready to see this deck work. So,
I'm ready to see it used on somebody other than me.
Yeah.
And now, talking about that dream, sorry I had to step away a second, but talking about that dream, that whole dream scenario, you actually had that happen in a tournament twice in one game, right? So you played N'Zoth 3 times, isn't that what I remember correctly?
I don't recall that, but I think I did in an offline game, like not a
That may have been
tournament.
what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
I saw N'Zoth. I saw 3 N'Zoths in somebody's hand at the qualifier, but it was a different deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. As always, if you're joining us on Twitch or YouTube, please stay tuned for the live play portion of our show. If you are listening via the audio podcast, we'd like to thank you for joining us at this time. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at HeroPower_cast, and you can find our past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/ECMMOGamers, or on our website at HeroPowerHS.com. If you enjoy the show, you can be like Nibble Swap and help to support and improve the show by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/HeroPower. And as always, we'll see you all again next week.
And don't forget to use your hero power.
Alrighty. Well, while we load up Hearthstone here, Versika, why don't you tell us a little more about Viforce?
Okay, so at the top of the show, we talked about Viforce and sponsoring their sponsorship of competitive gamers, and we talked about going to HeroPowerHS.com, clicking on the Viforce link. Once you're on Viforce's page, you go to the community tab at the top. Then you go down to competitive gaming sponsorships, and that's going to take you to a page where at the top you'll see an emblem for CS:GO, League of Legends, and Battlefield 4. On this page, you'll have a video where they briefly discuss what they are looking for in a sponsoree of sorts, And then right below that, you're gonna see 3 different options. You're gonna see solo sponsorships, small team sponsorships, and large team sponsorships. Now, depending on what game you're playing and how many people you have playing with you, you're going to go into one of these 3 categories. And once you click on that, there's another video where they kind of explain what they're doing with this individual sponsorship. And then below it, it lists what all comes with that sponsorship, like what they're looking for, what you're going to get as a result of being sponsored by Viforce. So there's a lot of information there. And like I said, each one has its own video. Each one has listed out what the requirements and then what you get as well. So if you're thinking of going into competitive gaming, you're thinking about maybe making that jump from just an avid player to like a semi-pro or even a pro player, then you can go to Viforce's page, check out what they offer, and get in touch with them. Click on the Contact Us page at the top of the website, and you'll be able to send in an email asking specific questions and sort of get the ball rolling.
Yeah, it's all situational. So, you guys check it out, see what they have to offer. All right, are you ready there, Nibble Swap?
Ready?
All right, go ahead and cue in, and I will spectate you. And
All right.
well, I have a lot of friends on Hearthstone tonight.
Yeah, I wager some of them are practicing for this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right, so looks like
Oh,
Warrior
did we
versus
look up?
Warrior.
Did we look up and get a mirror match?
All right. So our opening hand is Shield Slam, Azure Drake, Azure Drake. What are you looking for in the mulligan here, Nibble?
Well, we see our opponent mulligan 3 cards, so his hand's not too great. He kept 1, which may be a War Axe. Typically, in the Warrior matchup, if it's not Pirate Warrior, if it's Control Warrior, we want to probably keep one of these dragons. 1 for the synergy with the smaller drops, and then 2, if it is Control Warrior, it's just a good card against Control Warrior. So I think we'll keep one of these. Getting a Alex Ross's champion would be nice. This isn't exactly what we wanted.
Drew into a Shield Slam and a Ysera.
we
And
got
then redrew the other Azure Drake.
Yeah,
That
so-
happens more often than you would think too.
Yeah.
Just in Hearthstone in general.
Yeah, I did a poor job shuffling, I guess. But we'll just hope that it's not aggro and move on. If it's control, this might be a long game.
Yeah. Well, you drew into Chill Maw.
Yeah.
So it's something else that you can't. So I mean, here you are. Your turn 2. You're getting ready to come into turn 3. You've got 2 Azure Drakes, Chill Maw, Ysera, and a Shield Slam. So what are you looking for at this point? That helps. Draw into a Twilight Guardian.
I think one of the mistakes a lot of players make in the mirror is they play too much, or they play something when they don't have to. So when you're playing control against control, you're usually not going to burst them down. So just because I can play Twilight Guardian right here and it's activated, it's a 3/6. You definitely don't want to play it because he has Acolyte on board. He can draw off his Acolyte, draw extra cards. He can run Acolyte in and execute it, which wouldn't be terrible for us because that's 1 execute down. So we just kind of want to take it slow.
So you drew a Fiery War Axe, so you equip the Fiery War Axe, and you're just going to clear the Acolyte.
Right. So he has 9 cards right now. They have to do something here soon. And we have some pretty good plays coming with our Drakes and whatnot.
Okay, so his turn 4, he just hero powered.
He did. So for his sake, hopefully on turn 10 he has something to play. Or sorry, on turn 5 he'll have 10 cards.
And so he passed.
All right, so this is probably the best card we could have drawn.
We just drew Justicar Trueheart.
Yeah. So if he doesn't have his Justicar and we get ours going, we're gonna be far ahead.
Okay, so you played the Azure Drake and drew into a bash,
So
and then passed the turn.
yeah.
So he has to do something here. He may coin. He may do like a coin Justicar. Oh, that's not very good for him.
Wow, he's gonna waste an execute on that.
It may be the Ravaging Ghoul.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
it's Cthulhu Warrior.
So it's good
Cthulhu
thing.
Warrior.
Yep.
Okay.
He just had
Okay,
a
so-
very poor start.
So Fiery War Axe, and he used one of the charge to run into Azure Drake, and then he clears it with the 2/1 Disciple.
Yeah.
So now, with the Disciple out there and the Fiery War Axe, are you still thinking Justicar this turn?
I think so. The alternative is we do something like Twilight Guardian, hit. We certainly want something on the board.
Well,
the
the Twilight Guardian
Justicar.
at least probably 2 for 1.
I
You'll
mean,
have
maybe.
to use a charge and a spell or
Yeah.
something.
So usually the choice is either play Justicar right away, or you wait till turn 8 so you can actually Justicar and Hero Power.
Mm.
So I think we will just do this: the Twilight Guardian, hit it, and
Hero power.
Hero Power.
Clear the Disciple, Hero Power, so you're at 3 armors, or 5 armor still.
Yeah.
You basically just traded out your Hero Power for the Disciple.
Yeah.
And that puts us in a good spot for Shield Slam.
Yep.
This also puts him in a situation where he's got to use Fire War Axe in conjunction with something else, either a bash or an execute, to clear
Yeah.
the Guardian.
He may do something like a Sylvanas right here, which wouldn't be that great for him.
So, at this point, we're going into turn 7. You've got Chill Maw in hand, but you got your Twilight Guardian on the board. Are you thinking of Chill Maw on turn 7?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to see what he does. It's possible. Chillmaw doesn't really do anything. What we don't want to do is, have him hit and leave it at 3 HP and then play Chillmaw, because then Chillmaw will kill my own minion.
Right. So he plays Ravaging Ghoul,
Wow.
Disciple of Cthulhu, and then clears it with the Fiery Axe.
Yeah,
Now is a good time to chill Maul, maybe?
yeah.
Well, the
yeah.
reason that I was bringing up the Chill Maw is because we have Ysera in hand, and being able to play that on turn 9 is pretty fun.
Yeah.
And it's harder for him to clear, especially if he's ended up using an execute or something on Chill Maw.
Yeah, the fact that he just used his weapon charge definitely makes me want to play Chillmaw, because he has to invest something else in it to clear it. And if he does something like hit with a 2/1 and then execute, it kills his 3/3 anyway, because they have
Right.
dragons in hand.
Yeah.
And he can't kill it with what's on board, which is the
Right.
most important thing.
Right. So I'm willing to bet we'll probably see an execute here. And whatever.
That feels bad if he has to execute it.
Yeah.
Because it's like that Ravaging Ghoul is just a total waste.
So if, say, for some reason he leaves it up, what are you thinking would be your play next turn?
Probably Justicar, Hero Power.
Even though if he kills the dragon next turn, it'll kill your Justicar?
It's really important to get the hero power going, the 4 armor per turn. This is going to turn into a long game, and it's probably going to go to fatigue. So we want to be as far ahead as we can. So we want to be careful.
Ooh,
Yeah,
he
he's
did
not
leave it
doing
up.
anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so
Wow.
does this change anything? The
Oh,
Blackwing
yeah.
Corruptor?
Yeah.
This is punish time.
Yeah, we still want to be careful. Thankfully, Blackwing Corruptor is a 4 health,
health,
creature, so we'll probably throw this into the 3/3 and then throw Chillmaw into the 2/1 and Hero Power.
Okay.
No thought of getting Alex Strauss as champion, or you don't want to play too much into Brawl?
Well, that
I wanna-
is 3 toughness.
Yeah, I want to save it if he plays another acolyte. I don't really want to use a bash on an acolyte if
Fair
I
enough.
don't have to. So I'll just do this.
The Blackwing Corruptor takes care of the Ravaging Ghoul with its activated ability of doing 3 damage, and then Shilmal runs into the Disciple, which puts it at 6/4.
Yeah, so he's executing Chill Maw.
Which really doesn't do much.
He has another Ravaging Ghoul.
Right, which takes out our 5/4.
Yeah. So that's a good draw.
So we drew Fiery War Axe.
Let's see.
So are you thinking Fiery War Axe, bash the Ravaging Ghoul, use the War Axe to clear the shield on the Disciple?
Yeah, it feels kind of bad. Just because the Disciple will still trade with the Drake. Well, let's draw first and see what happens. Alright. So Revenge has spell power now. Doesn't change a whole lot, really, though. So I think we'll just War Axe and knock out the 3/3. This game's not so much about tempo. We have so much removal that tempo's not that important. I still have 2 Brawls in my deck and 16 cards. I want to save my Execute for Cthulhu. Right now we're in a pretty decent spot. We have 1 Death Rattle down. We still have some Death Rattles to come.
And one thing I see you're making sure to do is every turn you're making sure to use your hero power,
That's right.
which is important in this matchup because you want to keep that armor count high.
Yeah. So now, are we gonna shield slam the 6/6?
Yeah, I think we'll Shield Slam, play Justicar, Hero Power, and knock out the 4/2 with our
Right.
weapon.
With the last charge of your axe.
So let's Shield Slam.
Play the Justicar and Hero Power, which puts you back up to 6 armor.
Yep.
Okay. So now your opponent is at 14 armor currently because of the buff from the Cthulhu.
Shield Bearer.
Yeah, the Shield Bearer.
He's at 19 now because of Shield Block.
And
And he
plays
put-
Twin Emperor.
Yeah. So he has 2 of those guys.
Well, on the plus side, your True Heart will take care of one of them.
Right. I think we'll start off with a Slam on one of them. See what we
See
get.
what you get, yeah.
Nice. Drew into a bash.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have spell power anymore, so that doesn't help too much. I could bash Revenge and clear the board.
Okay.
We're really not going to have much value with Revenge with the deck he's playing. The only thing it'll really do for us is set up an Execute, but we have another bash to do that. So I think we'll just clear this. And then we can even play an Alex Strauss as champion just to get something on your board.
Okay.
That does
If we're-
become a 3/3 with charge, so we did manage to hit him for 3.
Yeah. The mentality is completely different this game. If we were playing Elise, we would never throw this out here. We would keep it in our hand as a potential legendary later on in the game. But the fact is we're not playing Elise, so we can
Oh, he just
can get
used both slams on your Alex Strauss as champion.
Yeah, he realizes it's going to be a fatigue game, so he doesn't want to, burn through his entire deck. So it's actually a relatively smart move on his part, I believe.
Yeah.
So at this point right here, I think a lot of players would slam Ysera, but he hasn't played a single shield slam yet.
Yeah.
So he is very, very likely to have shield slam in his hand.
He's waiting for something like a Grom
Yeah,
or
he is.
Ysera.
He just used 2 removal on my Alex Strauss's champion, so maybe I'll play another one. See what he does with this one.
And he's used both of his fiery warriors.
Yeah. No, he's only used 1, but he didn't have one last turn, or he would have played it for sure. There's one
There's
shield
shield
slam.
slam. Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great value.
And there's
That's
Bran.
tremendous value. Elise? No? 7 mana.
Bran coin into
Shield Bearer.
for another
Wow.
20 armor.
So like I said, this is going to be a long game.
He is looking into the fatigue.
He is currently at 67 total life, counting the 40 armor.
That he is. So we do not want to let Bran stay alive because I do not want to take... I think Cthulhu's 12-12 right now. Yeah, so that would be 24 to the face. 24 to the dome. So we might actually just throw a Grom out here and kill Bran.
Yeah.
That way we get rid of the second execute if he has it. Because the shield bearer alone doesn't kill Grom.
Right.
So we'll do that.
And this is where I made my mistake when playing against the deck, because I saw a Grom and thought, I'm okay to use my removal here. Instead of trying to clear it with creatures or with minions, I used removal in my hand.
Yeah.
And there
There's
goes
the
the
Like he
execute.
did.
Yep.
2 executes
We wanted
down.
to see.
Oh, he does play Elise.
Comes the Elise.
So
But he's really low on cards, so
what we really want right now is Sylvanas. Sylvanas would be really nice. Brawl helps.
terrible. Do we shield block to try to get Sylvanas?
Yeah. I think we want to play as Sarah here. That's a dead draw. So unfortunately, we have to hero power pass. So we want him to extend a little more. We're hoping that he plays Cthulhu right here or something like that so we can play Brawl. But he seems to be wiser than the average rank 10 player.
Yeah,
So.
if he's smart, he's going to wait for Cthulhu when he knows he's got.
Oh, great.
That's
2
a-
brawls.
Yeah. 50-50 ain't going to be worth it.
Because patience is still probably key here, because
Mhm.
you're hero powering for 4 armor, so you out of the 9, you're really only taking 5 every turn.
True.
Yeah. Thing is, he has a lease. So, other than the Gold Monkey, the only real threat I think he has left is Cthulhu. He hasn't played Grom yet.
But our revenge with an execute will be useful.
Yeah, but I think
We
we
don't have
pass.
to have a minion on board. I say we hero power pass. in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
think we pass one more turn. See what he does. He has it. We both have 8 cards left, so. So this is one of those really, really long, boring matchups.
So the chances
Well,
are
this
pretty
is fun.
good that he's sitting on a brawl himself, if not 2.
Yeah.
So do you shield slam here before
Yeah.
you hero power?
It doesn't matter. It's at least 6 either way.
So that takes care of the 6/6. So now you're, even if he does 3 per turn, you're still gaining 1 net armor per
Yeah,
round. He's going to have to put some other threat on the board.
you got Justicar. Yep,
Oh, we have bash for that.
yep. But now this is gonna be the game that never ends. All right.
It's not terrible.
No.
So is this, do you bash Twilight Guardian hero power here?
Yep.
So Twilight Guardian stops Elise. We
Yeah.
know he's out of execute, so he's gonna have to power through another way.
Yeah,
he's,
if
he's
he,
also out of shield slams.
I think he has one. I think he has one more shield slam.
Oh, okay.
If he uses it here, we're in really, really good shape. If we draw our, I mean,
We
we're
could just
gonna
slay
draw
Sarah.
something soon. We could, yeah.
And we've not seen Sylvanas or Cairn yet. We've still got a Blackwing Corruptor in the deck.
Yep. And I think we have another shield block to cycle, but at this point, I don't know if we want to play it. There's an Azoth, so there's that part.
Well, we haven't gotten all of our death rattles yet.
Yeah,
Right.
the only death rattle we've seen so far is Chillmaw.
I mean, Chillmaw here
So-
wouldn't be bad.
So do you clear Elise here, or do you go face with the Twilight?
I'm half thinking about brawling.
Well, you got two.
Yeah.
So that
He
seems
may-
like a solid play to me. You
Yeah, I
attack
like
with
that
the
play.
Guardian and then brawl.
Could also slam Sarah. Make him use his last shield slam. But he
Yeah.
may be holding on to it for
I think
YOLO.
I think I like.
No.
Okay.
We're gonna do it live. We're doing it live. Now if we
Alright.
get the dream card, we got the worst one.
YOLO,
YOLO
or go
Sarah.
home.
Yeah,
All right. So
YOLO
here
bust.
here's going to come the second shield slam.
for sure.
Should be instantaneous,
Beckoner of Evil.
unless he's only running one.
Oh, he's yellow.
brawling.
Okay.
Hey! All right.
Yes, that's what we want to see, baby.
Alright,
That
Steve.
execute.
Well,
Play the
Could say
Laughing
so.
Sister, yeah.
Laughing Sister, Hero Power,
Push it down that armor.
Sarah to the face, and pass it on.
Sweet.
Right.
now we hope for a dream card. Come on, dream card.
And
Oh,
even-
another one.
He has got 8 total cards. One of those is the goal. Well, one of those is the map, right? He didn't cast the map yet.
Yeah, he hasn't played the map yet. There it is.
There's the map. So he's got 8 cards. One's
He
a
has-
gold monkey.
There's
The shield slam.
7 cards. I mean, you're gonna be able to brawl your way out of any legendary problems. I would make him. Is there a way to make him draw more than one card? Yeah, revenge.
Ken Revenge.
I would, because right now he's up 4 cards to your 3.
Yeah. Thing is, if he plays Gold Monkey,
You're getting rid of your activator for execute as well.
You are. But
I mean,
you have,
I'll still have my Laughing Sister on board.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Though if he plays Cthulhu and it kills this guy, then yeah, I have no answer.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
So yeah, I think we just play another Laughing Sister. We kill this and Hero Power.
Okay. Well, at least we're even on card count now.
Well, we know what 2 of the last 3 cards are.
Yeah. So Wadis and Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have another Corruptor as well. Blackwing
Yes.
Corruptor.
Yes, we do.
That's
So-
actually,
But no dragons to activate.
Yeah, it's not gonna activate, but it's still a
Yeah.
5/4. Here's Karen. So we'll throw this guy out.
I think we're in the driver's seat now. I think he's
Yeah.
holding on to a second brawl. He's not going to want to see Karen.
I don't know if he plays 2 brawls.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably
He might.
probably looking for Cthulhu. He may not run Grom in this.
Oh, there's Sylvanas. Now, if we draw our Sylvanas here, actually, we don't have a shield slam, so it doesn't matter. I was gonna say, if we had a shield slam, we could steal his Sylvanas, and then we have 2
Two
Sylvanas.
Sylvanas, yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. But
I mean, you could play her an Executor. You have to deal a point
You
of damage
can't
to
execute her. That's enemy minion.
her. Oh. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
we can still play it though. If he runs his Sylvanas into mine, then he doesn't steal anything, or I steal back what he stole.
Yeah.
he doesn't have any more executes. Well, he can't even target these guys. So he can brawl, but that just means we lose 2 death rattles and it helps our N'Zoth. So
Yeah.
we'll just do this. Ship out some armor.
62 armor. He's got 62 armor, folks. 62 armor.
That's crazy.
He is now out of cards, so you know he's got the golden monkey.
And 4.
Oh,
Oh,
there's
There
a
comes
brawl.
the brawl.
This plays right into our N'Zoth play.
Yep.
So he's going to
So-
steal,
And
and
that's
then we're going to steal it right back. Because order of operations.
Yep.
For you Magic the Gathering old school players.
Harrison Jones.
First in, last out.
All right, so he's got 4 cards left, and counting the Harrison Jones that's on the board, 3
Yep.
in hand. We know one of them is the Golden Monkey,
Yep.
which means he's only going to have
Two
two legendaries.
He has Cthulhu, he has the Gold Monkey, and some other mystery card.
And he
Probably
can't Gold
it might
Monkey
be
without throwing down the Cthulhu. I mean, that would be counterproductive.
his third card's probably Fiery War X. We've only seen one.
Yeah. So,
So we're just gonna kill this. We're gonna wait for him to play his Gold Monkey,
yeah,
and then we're gonna go ham.
yeah.
Well, you know this is a Cthulhu play for him. He
'Cause
almost
if-
has to Cthulhu.
If by any crazy chance he does run 2 brawls, we don't want to play our N'Zoth into brawl. That's
Right,
the worst
right.
thing. we
There's
could,
the Cthulhu.
Because you know he's not going to Golden Monkey before Cthulhu, then he loses his Cthulhu.
So then this turn is easy. You
Yeah.
just revenge and
execute.
And he will likely concede.
Well, he doesn't 100%
No.
know I run N'Zoth.
Right,
right.
right.
That's
He'll
true.
concede once he plays the monkey in.
Sees what he gets.
Yeah. Unless he doesn't play the monkey. He could just
Oh,
sit
he'll
on-
play golden.
Oh, he
Monkey,
plays
yeah.
Yeah, now
No.
it's kind of over for him.
Now,
Like you
do we?
said, Fiery
The-
War X was probably that other card. So
Even if he has Deathwing, Sylvanas will steal his
Steal it.
Deathwing.
Yeah, that's true.
So now we say astonishing and wait for him to concede.
Wonder what legendary he got.
we're getting ready to find out.
Maybe.
He's doing the math.
Yeah. He's wanting to see if we're going to get any damage and nothing, so we don't have a dragon in our hand.
Princess
Oh,
Huron.
Yeah, that's not going to do it.
this ain't good for him.
So we just value trade, hit him in the face.
And then just start picking him down each turn.
Yep.
That's going to be 15 per turn. He's 1 fatigue ahead of us. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we're gonna pass him in health probably this turn.
we took 4. That takes us to 50 approximately. By the time we tank up, we deal 15 in
Yeah.
damage to him. No, 14 in damage to him.
This kind of speaks to why getting Justicar so early was important because we probably got, I would say, what, like
16
five
extra
or six hero powers in with the armor bonus. So I mean that's 12 to 14 health right there.
Yeah.
It may have not have made a
Yeah.
huge difference this game, but it could have.
He's got nothing left but his hero power. He's doing the math right now. Now,
Yeah.
if this was Bloody Face on the other side of us, he'd already figured out the math.
Yeah, he may have figured out the math and just left. So
He just, your opponent has left.
yeah, I mean, there's not much more demoralizing than sitting in a half-hour Hearthstone game and losing. So
Just hit the home button on the iPad and go to Netflix.
Yeah.
That's probably what he's done. This is how you know they're on a mobile device.
So we'll just go through the motions.
But
I
on the
guess.
plus side, it's going to speed up his turn now. So
yeah,
Unless he's
it'll-
sitting there and he's going to click end turn at the end of every single rope. And
Oh, he's back.
oh, there's the tank up.
He's going to do it. He is going to make you win. This guy has no life, nothing going on at home. He's got tomorrow off for work. He can waste some time.
Well, there's always the chance that Nibble Swap disconnects.
Right.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I have Comcast internet, so you never know.
I'm one of those players too. I'll make you hit me in the face. I won't concede most of the time. iPad is at 90%.
Oh.
That's funny.
So I was thinking earlier. Now that we have time to talk, I think what Priest really needs is a weapon.
Interesting.
You know, what really differentiates Priest from Warrior is that Warrior has weapons. You know, they have
They can use
similar
their health as a resource.
similar kind of strategies where they have removal, not a whole lot of minion play, but a lot of removal. Maybe if Priest had a weapon like Fiery War Axe and something like that, because I mean, there's no reason to play Elise Priest when you can play Elise Warrior, and you have the extra armor that you, because you know the four health hero power for Priest doesn't really benefit you if you already have 30 health. But
Is it possible there's some kind of viable way to play Priest? It's just nobody's figured out the mindset yet.
I don't know.
Maybe the
There-
focus needs to be not on healing yourself, but healing your minions and using your health as a resource that way.
I've seen N'Zoth Priest work. Priest has that new minion, the 4/3 that gives you like a half of a, gives you one card from your opponent's class. I can't think of the name of the spell, but I've seen N'Zoth work with it really well. It's got good synergy. So
The problem goes back to having too many sources of damage for the Priest to deal with early. By the time you get N'Zoth, by the time you get to the point to play N'Zoth, you're usually so far behind that it doesn't matter, because you don't have that chance to build up the armor like you do on the N'Zoth Warrior. And like Nibble Swap said before, with the Elise, why would you play Elise Priest when you can play Elise Warrior? Well, why would you play N'Zoth Priest when you can play N'Zoth Warrior or N'Zoth Rogue?
Is there any way to make like a Grim Priest, like Grim Patron Priest?
There
That
is.
focuses on buffing up the health and healing them and continuing a board flood without adding more resources from your deck?
The problem then becomes how do you damage it yourself? And the only way to really do that with a priest is with Wild Pyromancer.
Well, not just Wild Pyromancer, but using them as a resource to run into minions. But you're right, the removal is too prevalent.
Yeah, the problem is they cost 5 mana. So if you
It's
play
true.
it, if you play it on turn 5, usually your opponents are going to have minions that have more than 3 attack.
So, Viforce in chat says that he'd like to see him do something with discipline spells, sort of like shielding.
Yeah, I like that too. I think that the priest hero power needs to be I guess my opinion, the root cause is that the priest hero power isn't viable till later in the game.
Yeah.
When you take into account how much your stuff costs to cast to begin with.
All right, we'll see if he concedes now. I
Matt
think
at
he
Arms in chat said to shield block for BM, and I absolutely agree.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're.
Oh, there it
I
goes.
wanted the brawl. I wanted the brawl.
brawl pass. Shield block, brawl pass.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the
Do
only
we have
problem,
time for another one?
I had thought about that, but the only problem with the brawl would have been if you'd ended up with Cairn, then you're just swapping for hero power damage each turn.
Well, no, it does. No, he would have died that turn.
Oh, well, that's true.
Yeah.
To the-
Yeah, on the last turn.
Yeah. All right, let's try to get one more in here.
Okay.
One more. We'll get 2 in tonight. Hopefully, this one's a little faster.
Yeah, hopefully it's not the slowest matchup possible.
But On the plus side, you got to see every card in the deck.
And
You
how
did.
it works.
But the way you played that game was a lot how you played me. I didn't know N'Zoth was happening until after I'd removed everything else, and by then I had nothing that could handle it.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting matchup here. So if it's Tempo Mage, we're in trouble. If it's Freeze Mage, they're probably going to concede turn 3. So we really don't want any of this.
So
We kind of want
our opening
we want-
hand is Shield Block, Blackwing Corruptor, Brawl, Chiltmaw.
Yeah, we're really looking for a War Axe.
So you're
If we get
throwing-
lucky,
throwing
maybe.
it all back.
Yeah. Now, if we can draw a dragon, we're in okay shape because we picked up Alex Ross's champion.
Yeah, we got Alex Rose's champion along with Cairn, Gromosh, and Brawl.
So Mana
Yeah.
Worm on turn 1, we're probably playing against Tempo.
Yeah, this could be a rough game. It's probably the worst matchup for this deck.
If we had drawn into a dragon, would it be worth coining into Alexstrasza's champion?
Absolutely. Yeah, would have done that. Would have snapped that. It's just such a good card if you have this energy.
Yep. So he plays a Cult Sorcerer on turn 2 and attacks for 1. We top deck Sylvanas, which doesn't really help us.
No. Oh man.
So do you think you just kind of hero power pass here?
Yeah, I think so.
We might have to. We're probably gonna want to coin Brawl later on, just because this is getting a little out of hand. If he plays Flamewaker on 3, we're not gonna have a way to remove it. So I think we do need to wait it out. Hope that he doesn't hit.
And sometimes that's how you beat Tempo Mage. They think that you have nothing to do, so they just start going crazy with their hand, doing as much damage as they can. Then you do a value Brawl, and you're
Yeah.
golden.
Unfortunately,
There was
this
the turn 3 Flame
yeah,
Wave.
this guy's pretty much had the nuts so far.
Yeah.
I don't even have a way to activate
We've
execute.
not drawn a single dragon yet. We just
Yeah.
top deck to
Do we
execute.
shield block to
Yeah.
just to draw? Yeah.
We'll shield block. Hope that he plays something like Water Elemental to really fully or overextend.
Yeah.
What's probably going to happen? I was just going to say is Arcane
Arcane
Intellect,
Intellect.
and it's just gonna hurt our butt a little bit.
Yeah. So we top decked another shield block off the shield block.
Now that's something I've noticed. If you do something to buff Cthulhu and you don't see Cthulhu on the left side, it usually means they don't have Cthulhu in the deck.
Yeah,
That's correct.
I was just thinking
But
that.
we saw Cthulhu. So this looks like there's Cthulhu in this deck.
Yeah, might be. So this is why we play Revenge. If we get down to 12 health, almost all this dies.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes if you get down to 12 health, you very quickly get down to 0 health too.
Do we brawl now?
We could. Only thing is, we don't really have a turn 5 play, but at this point,
I mean, we could shield block again.
we could. If we had a shield slam, it'd be easy, but I think we just need the brawl. He has 7 on board. Let's shield block. We need to find an answer.
Okay.
There we go. So we'll coin out War Axe. Next turn we can brawl. If we have to.
That's something.
That way we fit the curve. Sylvanas will be a good drop if I can get it down. So let's hope he overextends here. It's gonna freeze me. That hurts a little. 5 damage.
Yeah. He has 2 spell power minions on the board. His Cthulhu's now a 9/9.
Yeah. Still don't have the dragon. If I had 2 less health, that'd be great. We'd be able to clear the board.
I mean, even if you weren't frozen, could run into the Flamewaker and then Revenge and Hero Power. That
Yeah,
would be better. But
yeah, that was a good play on his part.
Yeah,
For
Matt,
sure.
Matt at Arms in chat says Alex Rose's champion is like another War Axe on the board.
Yeah, it kind of is.
if you get a dragon,
So, still
man.
thinking just Brawl here.
I think we have to. We're probably dead either way, but I mean,
Coming up on turn 6 play with 2 spell power minions. He's got 8 there.
yeah,
So,
it's
yeah, I mean, you're
unfortunate.
dead to a fireball.
I mean, the Flamemaker is probably less damage output. Actually, you trade the same amount of damage, so
Well, we finally got our dragon.
So, do you
Um,
revenge clear with the axe and Alex draws as champion?
because it's really low. But we could hero power after that.
I mean, you could axe into the Flame Waker and only take 2.
Run
But
the-
then you're killing off the champion. You could keep the champion alive by going into the Flamewaker, but he'll hero power it down.
I think we need to run the axe into the 4-2. It's more damage, but we can run the champion into the Flame Waker and kill it. So
Okay.
run axe in here, revenge.
We could actually execute that if we wanted. What we have 2 executes
Mhm.
and then have
Yeah.
a 3/3 charge.
Yeah, that's
We want
better
hero
play.
power, but it
We're dead to
negates some of the
fireball
damage,
either
yeah.
way. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Creamy Toad in chat, Nibble Swap says you've got this.
This is a Cthulhu tempo.
it is.
Wow.
Yeah, this is
I
rough.
don't see a paddle, and I think we're up the creek.
Yeah, we're pretty dunzo this game. Like I said, this is the absolute worst matchup in the game for this deck. So,
Do we bash our face?
I mean, we
Uh.
technically stay alive if we bash, run
Yeah, we do.
champion in and hero power.
Any
but-
burn that he keeps hovering over in his hand will kill us.
Well, he didn't have fireball last turn, or he would have killed us.
No, but it
so-
could be Frostbolt.
Could be. We don't die to frostbolt though, and he already used one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We don't die to Frostbolt. Yeah.
And there's the Archmage.
Uncle Tony. Hey, Uncle Tony. Did he just... Yep. That's actually pretty intelligent. Now we know he has a fireball.
Well, I don't see any getting out of this, so
Nope.
No. At least take care of that Emperor and then concede.
yep.
Or let him fireball us.
Nah.
All right, guys. So that's the Dragon Warrior N'Zoth, and got to see it work last game really well. It was a lot of fun, even though it went like
30 minutes, like
Yeah.
32 minutes.
yeah, that was fun. That was fun. So, all right. So let's do our last minute thoughts. Zeroshio, what do you got?
This weekend is the spring championships.
Yep.
Yes, spring championships. Joster qualified out of our venue here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Root him on, cheer him on, hit him up on Twitter. Give him good vibes. We hope he does really well. We hope all the players have good games. We really are rooting for Joster. But even if you're not rooting for Joster, watch that tournament. It's an awesome tournament. We're going to have somebody qualify for BlizzCon. It's going to be awesome.
All right, Rasika.
Just a reminder that even though the Legend of the Innkeeper crew did their 24-hour stream this past weekend, they are still collecting funds to go to BlizzCon, and it's important for us small podcasts to have representation there. So it's very cool that they got to go, or that they got tickets to go. Now we just we're trying to help them get all the funds necessary for like hotel room and all of that. And one of their friends of the show stepped up and made it possible for them to go, but did so in a way that put himself at risk. So as a community, I feel like we need to get together and try to get that taken care of. I guess, are they just doing donations strictly through the website, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can go to just Google them, and we'll put it in our show notes as well.
legendoftheinnkeeper.com.
And just go in, and even 20 people gave $5. That's a fast food meal through the week, and it would go a great deal towards helping them get out there. And like I said, the small podcast group really needs some representation at BlizzCon. So it's really awesome that they're getting to go.
Yep. All right, Nibble, you got anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah, shout out to Jazzy Jazz, Biggs, and Joe. Thanks for hanging out.
Is that your rap crew? Is that?
Yeah, it's a crew, all right. They're a crew. Yeah, there's
DJ
some
Jazzy Joe.
Jazzy Jazz, Joe, and Biggs. Yeah, they're some coworkers of mine. Yeah, thanks for having me. Definitely come out to the gathering this weekend at Level Up Games. Big thanks to them for hosting it for us, and anyone that's going, if you can, support them if you can. Pick up a small game or a pack of cards or something. So it's
plenty of refreshments on site.
Yeah. So
I do have to say they've got one of the best selections of snacks and drinks of any shop I've been in. Comic, card, video game. I mean,
they got Surge in the big can.
They do.
It's like they've got a miniature convenience store going on in there. So
Yeah.
They got it going on.
And they
And
will
they're really
also
good-
have
they're really
the
good
spring.
people.
They also have the spring championships playing all day.
Yep. So if you're not playing, you just want to come hang out, you can come hang out, watch spring championships, or come watch the Tavern Hero qualifier going on. But you need to come out and play, because we need to have at least 16 players to make it official, and we should be good. But I know Zeroshio's not going to be there, so somebody needs to step up and fill his shoes.
Their big shoes.
obviously a beard's not required.
A beard is not
Clearly.
required. So
No longer required.
all right, guys. I want to thank the chat for joining us tonight. You guys are awesome, as always. And Nibble Swap, thanks for being on the show. We had a good time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Guys-
And I want to give one quick shout out to Yellow Dart and Wintermute. Those guys have, and Threndenir. Those three guys have really been helping me out on my arena grinds lately. I've been trying to practice arena, so maybe we can start doing more of arena portion for some of our patrons, or just another portion if we hit a patron goal. Another show we do maybe once a week where I do some arena runs. And I've gotten to 12 win arena runs in the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, we're doing real good. Thanks, guys, for helping me and rooting me on.
All right. So if you guys have any questions or comments about the show, don't forget, please send us an email at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button below on YouTube. Give us a follow on Twitch to be alerted as to when we go live. Remember to check out our Patreon, because once we hit our first milestone, we've got some really cool stuff coming. So for more details, check out our patreon.com/heropower. And as always, guys, good gaming.
And there it goes. The elusive Scott Premium that no longer exists, but
You're
it's
done.
saying we need it.